You.
What's going on?
I like that Olympic Open.
That was exciting.
Bam. Hey, it's Ashleigh Walters.
Hi, and Mike Trim.
And that's me. And we are your morning anchors for WPTV News Channel 5. Fresh off the set this morning, 4:30 to 7 a.m., the news studio. If you haven't watched it, you really need to. But we're talking Olympics right now, as WPTV is your official home for the Olympics. And there's a lot of stuff that's been going on, but we want you to get in the comments, start the conversation, continue the conversation, give us stuff to talk about, because there is something right off the jump.
Yes, indeed, because actually tomorrow morning during our morning show, we're going to be updating you on what happens with Simone Biles. Huge update after we saw Simone Biles had withdrawn from some of those competitions. Now she will compete in balance beam.
At balance beam. So, like, hey, she could put a bow on this, could win gold. Just the fact that she's back into this competition, because, there's stories within stories, and athletes deal with so much, not only mentally. And hello to you, Diana from Boynton Beach, and Destry saying Team USA, and as we go into the infinity box right there. Simone Biles is back. And yes, so I didn't realize, and you have a little bit of a gymnastics background as well, there's something called the twisties.
Okay, so it sounds like, what the twisties.
Right.
What this means basically to those is that you have lost sense of where your mind and body are. So she says, basically, this is a quote. They call it's like a mental block, not being able to really keep track of where you are in space. And you can imagine in competition, on these hard competition surfaces, how dangerous that is. And it can be life-altering or even life-ending. She said, quote, last week, "For anyone saying I quit, I didn't quit. My mind and body are simply not in sync, as you can see here." And she'd been showing pictures of, you saw her facial expressions change. She was nervous. So, there's a lot of information coming from, comments really from both sides. Most saying, we're so excited to watch her compete. Others saying, well, how could she possibly be coming back? I did learn in some unspecified location in Tokyo, she's actually been training where she's able to do her jumps and fall into like a foam pit, which is common in gymnastics training, but it's like, you can imagine, very different from that hard surface again.
If you could compare it to anything, in the outside of the Olympic realm, you've ever jumped off a diving board into a pool and like you think you're going to do this cool flip or something, and you just kind of like lose track of where you are and just face slap belly flop right in the water. Like, okay, imagine that, but you're vaulting in an Olympic style atmosphere. And you could tell, and even with her, physical nature and being able to do those tricks so effortlessly, it can happen to the best of them.
You imagine, I don't know, I grew up in California, and sometimes you go into those big waves, and if they really get a hold of you, you just have to kind of wait till you come back up. It's another situation like that. You don't know where you are. And so, again, with this, I guess balance beam is the part of the competition where she tends to do the fewest twists and turns. What we need to really watch for, according to the experts, is her dismount. That's where the highest level of difficulty will be. So that full twisting double back dismount, very, very complicated, very challenging, very high level. So, we'll see how she is. And by the way, Suni Lee will also be participating. Yes. And so that'll be exciting. Also Team USA.
Yeah, I like Joyce's comment, and I'm glad we brought that up. Simone is awesome. It's good she puts her mental health first. Admire her even more for being so open. And even Emily said she teaches valuable lessons to my 5-year-old gymnast. Okay, so see, that's what Olympians do. They really give, because these Olympians aren't making a huge paycheck for being Olympics. They're doing it for the love of the sport. They're putting their time. But let's talk about, listen, it's not as if Biles, you consider her the greatest gymnast in the world. She's proven that in the past. She's not, when it comes to balance beam, she narrowly squeaked into the beam final, placed 7th during qualifications. And if you put it in context of 5 years ago now, in Rio, she won the bronze in the beam. So it's not like, okay, it's Michael Phelps jumping into the pool in his best race ever, and it's a shoe-in almost, in his peak, in his prime. But it is Simone Biles, and if there weren't a lot of eyes on her before, there will be tomorrow morning. So make sure you watch us 4:30 to 7 a.m. We'll give you those real-time updates. and tell you how to watch as well. By the way, if you're looking to watch the Olympics, WPTV.com, our Olympics section gives you all the breakdowns of when you can watch the events, when it's on, and just make it easy to do that.
One more quick note on the gymnastics, if you've been paying attention, or even if you haven't. Jade Carey. So Simone Biles has been congratulating Jade Carey on her gold for the floor. And that's another example where Jade Carey had really struggled through vault just yesterday. Those finals ended in tears. And yet today she was able to persevere, come through, clear her head, and won gold. So, you know, you can turn things around. We'll see what happens.
Okay, so there was a really interesting moment. There's so many moments in the Olympics that you just can't script. You don't know what's going to happen. But we want to know what you guys in the comments would be doing as you're watching this on our WPTV Facebook page. Two high jumpers, world class, rivals, but also friends on and off the track. A high jumper from Italy and a high jumper from Qatar. They both clear. They get to, they're at the finals of their event. They both clear 7 feet 9 1/4 inches.
Which, first of all, is just like insane, right?
So they're tied, and then they both couldn't make the next jump up. Okay, so official Olympic rules stated, and you watch the guy in the moment, the official for the Olympics, come over and say, basically, it's up to you guys if you want to have a jump off or share the gold. And like immediately they both embrace. They're like, we're sharing the gold.
Like, how amazing is that?
Like,
can we both have a gold? Yes. Me and my friend? Yes. Like, awesome.
So what would you do? I really want to know the answer to that in the comments. And here they are in that moment. I'm gonna inject my personal opinion. If I worked that hard and I knew I won gold, and I'm like, hey, the rest of your life, you're a gold medal winner.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Nobody's gonna be like, well, you didn't really, hammer down and beat that guy and win it. No. Like, you won the gold. You're at that moment. And they both embraced and just went nuts.
Like you said, they've known each other. They met in Canada in competition in 2010. So they've known each other a long time. They're not just rivals. They are friends.
Yeah.
And let's see, one of them, the man from Qatar, who you see on the right, saying this is a dream come true, the true spirit of sportsmanship, which I think that's the part I love to see the most in the Olympic Games. And we've seen it several times over in different ways, but the sportsmanship, and hey, that is awesome. Like, look at what Wendy said, share. That is awesome.
Sandy, share gold 100%. I'm doing that 100%. I mean, after the waiting a year in the pandemic to get to this point, like, hey, you guys could both win gold. I mean, the official couldn't even finish his sentence and explanation. He's like, boom, they high-fived each other, and they both went nuts.
Like, I mean,
absolutely. I mean, look at that moment. You're on the stand sharing gold. I mean, so we both agree.
Yeah.
I'd share the gold.
I'd share the gold with you, too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It'd be a nice moment. All right. Gold medal winners. Hey, let's hope for someone striving for gold and that he can medal. Zion Wright. He is our last remaining local Olympian that's competing, and he is from Jupiter. Zion Wright is competing in the skateboarding park competition. That starts Wednesday with the first heats, and he's been sharing his moments on Instagram. So here he is. You'll notice there's a divider, a plastic divider between Olympians eating. So, kind of like, hey, how you doing? I'm all the way back here. But he's been all smiles in his pictures since he's been over there. Zion grew up in Jupiter. Here he is with some other Olympians right there. The guy that won the Olympics post, thanks for the ollie. So it's shirt off, skateboard, just having a good time. Yeah. Zion grew up skating in Abacoa Park in Jupiter in his younger days before moving to California and just really making his name for himself.
And this is the first time we're seeing this particular competition. And for those of you who are like, what is the difference? So there's the kind where you can like drop into a bowl.
Yep.
And then the other kind, which you said is park, that's where they have all of the jumps, the rails, the different like weird obstacles. They both have to do tricks, but he'll have a certain number of times to like do tricks, a certain number of seconds to pull it off. And it's such a new sport. We're really not sure who's going to take the gold. So it'll be really exciting.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's been plenty of twists and turns so far. Nyjah Houston, Tony Hawk, Nyjah Houston, best skaters competition-wise in the past at least 3 decades. Houston, he didn't even medal. Like, he kind of got over there, and you know, it was hot. There wasn't any crowd around. You kind of feeds off that.
Mhm.
I think he either placed 5th or 7th, but he didn't have a good run. He fell 4 times in his other. And it just goes to show you never know what could happen. So I'm hoping Iron Lion Zion can come through and medal, you know, because that's what the Olympics are about.
Yeah.
It's about people just getting to, because he's already just, you know, just to kind of put a wrap on talking about Zion, and please get in the comments, show some Zion Wright love. He had to qualify for the Olympics, place 1st in the Mountain Dew competition in Iowa earlier this year. Nailed it under pressure. And got number 1. So we're hoping he can do the same in the Olympics.
I was able to see one of those Mountain Dew competitions in person. It is, I mean, you know, our culture, I think, has changed with how we view things like skateboarding and BMX bikes and all that. But when you really take a second and you look at the athleticism and the sheer balance, the strength, the guts, I think that it takes to even attempt some of that. I mean, it's just super cool. We're rooting for you, Zion. We're super excited. Let's go, Team USA.
Team USA women's soccer. Listen, they've been king of the hill for so long. They missed their shot at gold, not by much. Canada downed them 1-0. These were tight. These have been tight games all around. They drew 0-0 to get to the knockout round, and you know, kind of the moment of defeat right there.
Tough too. So in this game that happened today, the star goalkeeper got a knee injury like partway through the game, and they held things off for quite a while. But that there was a penalty kick, which is actually turning out to be a little bit controversial with how that unfolded. But the rules were looked at, and everything was kosher with that. But yeah, man. So Canada has gotten 2 bronze medals straight back to back. Now has the chance at gold against Sweden.
And hey, our ladies are not going to go home, hopefully, without some hardware. They are going to play for the bronze, so not all bad.
Yeah.
Let me, you know, listen. Our men's team didn't even qualify for the Olympics.
Ladies soccer, I mean, it's just incredible.
Yeah,
incredible.
No, and they have. They've won the World Cup as a team before, which is the pinnacle of football, soccer, everything, and it's just cool to see as well. But those were some tough games. Again, not played in front of spectators, so you got a different vibe. You really play. I just wonder how that's been as well. What did you all thought at home without the spectators in the crowd? Has it been the same for you? Because gosh, the swimming has just been awesome to watch. Our Olympic U.S. swimmers have just been raking it. Right.
Yes.
Emily, you mentioned that. So Chelsea Wolf is an alternate on the BMX team.
Yeah.
I don't have an update right now on Chelsea, but we can get one as I stretch a little bit and talk.
You know what I think has been fun in terms of the families is watching the side by side where you see the family cheering back here home.
Yeah.
And you know, which, like, really, let's be honest, maybe it'd be your parents over there, or maybe your wife or girlfriend or whatever, you know what I mean? But to have the whole town cheering.
I watched so on a little vacation for a couple of days, and I watched that Ryan Fink race on Wednesday night, and because, you know, I'm just sitting there, we had some time to kill, and I'm like, hey, the Olympics are on, I like to watch that. And my family got into it, and you know, my wife and my youngest son, and we're watching it, and we're like, all right, well, this one guy was just way ahead of everybody, and I'm like, well, it's just nice that, you know, Ryan Fink got there. They went out to the truck to grab something and come back in for the last 2 down and back, and they get in. And I'm like, you got to come here. Like, the American guy's about to win this, and we're like, what? And then we were going nuts, you know. We're like, oh my gosh! And then he won another gold. Ryan Fink did, and in the post interview, he's like, I wasn't. By the way, he's from Florida. I wasn't expecting to medal at all, and he comes home with 2 golds. So you never know. So we're checking on when the BMX racing.
I'm working on it.
Yeah, so the BMX racing schedule, as that's an awesome Olympic sport. Yeah, BMX racing, surfing, skateboarding.
And we're also seeing this, like, the multi-gender, like, where you have women and men competing in the same events together.
Yep.
That's been really interesting this year too.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Okay.
Okay, so we have schedule.
BMX Olympic schedule.
Oh, of course, it's not coming up now.
Well,
I don't know what I'm doing.
Maybe.
I'm searching for it wrong.
Yeah. Okay, so that came in Saturday. That was the seeding run.
Okay, so there's no more event. That's the question. No more event.
No
Correct?
more event.
Okay.
Looks like the final was had.
Okay, here we go.
And it looks like we won the silver in one of the events. You could tell we were prepared for that BMX comment. But Emily, we wanted to answer your question. Yeah. It looks like Chelsea was an alternate during the runs. But when you get to that level, that's amazing in the first place. I'd love to be an Olympian just as an alternate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'll be at the Olympic Village if you guys, twist an ankle. I'll be here.
I know, how fun.
And eat some pizza.
We should mention our own Jessica Ramsey, by the way.
She did compete.
Yes, she competed as well. And, this is in the shot put.
Mm-hmm.
And just such sportsman. We give her a shout out as well. She didn't medal, but my goodness, the power behind those athletes.
Yeah, she brought it. And she celebrated her birthday in Tokyo. So lifelong memories there. Jessica, if by chance you're listening in or you come back to Boynton Beach, we'd love to catch up with all the Olympians when they get back home, including Luke Muller. Did not make the medal race with sailing. However, he's from Fort Pierce. But anyway.
Okay, so Donna's asking about skateboarding. We have tomorrow at 11:30 p.m. is Women's Park.
Yep.
We have some of those. And then we have, let's see, so men's skateboarding street final came in last week, but we have women's, skateboarding men's.
It's Wednesday when they start the park competition. So
that's when we're going to see Zion.
Wednesday night. Okay, Zion's going to be in one of two heats, and they have the qualifications Wednesday night. Then they'll move on to everything else.
So when you watch us on Thursday morning, we'll give you the update on how Zion did.
Good, bad, or gold. We're going to bring it to you, however Zion does. I'm not sure, Emily, on Connor. We're just trying to keep it as local as possible. We do love you, Zion, Michelle. Woo! Thanks for that. Appreciate it. I know he appreciates all the support. Let's get to the medal count. As you know, we can brag on this. It's all about who has the most hardware when you come home. And we have this on our WPTV.com website. Let's bring it up. Bing, bing. Well. So as we scroll through. All right. So we have, as I look a little closer, 63 total medals. We are in the lead for total medals. Yeah, China may have more gold, but you know what? These games aren't over yet.
No.
Oh, no. These games aren't over yet.
Another week of competition.
That's
all
right.
kinds of sports, the outcomes of a bunch of things we haven't even seen yet.
Mm-hmm.
It's just part of the fun. I don't know. I feel like there's so many different things to watch. We were watching men's gymnastics this weekend, for example, and that's something I never see, of course, other than when the Olympics are on. But my goodness, all these and golf. We should mention golf. Incredible outcomes. Xander Schauffele winning gold as well. Some funny things we've learned about the athletes, like Rory McIlroy said he doesn't have an Olympics hat because that's standard. He gets his customized by Nike because he calls himself I think he said a pinhead, his head's too small for the regular size hat, which is so funny. I never would have.
No. He's playing for Team Ireland, correct?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
This is the Irish, but Palm Beach Gardens native, Rory McIlroy.
We've had, we have just tons of awesome golfers out there.
Our golfers had a good representation.
And some had unfortunately had to bow out due to COVID, but what a year it's been.
What a year it's been. Hey, we are not done with this Olympics conversation. Keep the comments coming. Not only you can go to our WPTV website, Special Olympics section. You just saw it there with the medal count. That's where you can see the schedule for events and when you can watch them. And don't forget, we bring you the very latest as you're waking up early in the morning. You're waking up to an alarm clock. Your first thought should be, I got to watch Ashleigh and Mike. I got to turn on and see what happened in the Olympics because we'll bring it to you 4:30 to 7 a.m. tomorrow morning on a Tuesday and every Monday through Friday morning.
We appreciate all of you for spending a little time having some fun with the chit chat over the Olympics, and we'll continue to hop in those comments.
All right. We'll see you later. Go win the gold. See ya.